Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show here on 1130 The Tiger. Pleased to have you with us, and very pleased to welcome in an old friend, a guy who we introduced to some of the worst, unhealthiest food that he's ever had to deal with in his entire life down here in Shreveport, Louisiana. He is Bruce Feldman, who is joining us from The Athletic and Fox Sports. Bruce, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, Patrick. Good to be back with you.
Yeah, it's good to be with you as well. I told the story of you blanching at the giant table full of butter that you saw at Strawn's when we went over there the other time. That's still one of my favorite stories of all time, I have to tell you. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, that was definitely an experience. I know. I'm trying to remember one thing I had there. I don't know if it was the some kind of pastry that I thought was. It was definitely worth it, but
yeah.
It was definitely not something I would have.
No, we're not the healthiest eaters around here, Bruce. That's not what we do. Hey,
I travel with Tim for a couple of years. I know.
Yes, yes, you do. Hey, I'm curious. We've had a lot of discussion the last couple of days, and LSU fans are very much up in arms right now about their defense. There's a lot of talk about, we can't stop anybody. They gave up 38 to Vandy, even though they really only gave up 24 because there were 2 defensive touchdowns. We can't tackle. There's injuries. We're paying Dave Aranda $2.5 million for what? He can't stop anybody. What's the national take on what's going on at LSU right now? Are they just nitpicking?
Yeah, the national take is, man, this Joe Brady's a wizard because he turned when has LSU had an offense like this?
Yeah.
The answer is never. I mean, it wasn't like, and they went to Texas and lit up Todd Orlando's defense. And it's not like, I know that they didn't have a ton of experience, but they got some big-time talent back there, and they just kept the foot on the gas. And I thought between Joe Burrow and Joe Brady, and those receivers especially, I mean, that's what the buzz is, you know. As far as on the defensive side of the ball, look, Sam Ehlinger is a really good quarterback, so I'm not surprised that, he was able to do a lot of damage. I think we'll revisit on the defense probably as they get against Florida. I mean, I think right now Jordan Love is one of the better quarterbacks in the country at Utah State. They're going to have a week to get ready for him. I think the big challenge is going to be, can this defensive front, assuming Caleb Chesson gets back,
right,
when those guys get back, what is it going to look like? I mean, when you're playing guys who are second and third teamers and playing them a lot, that's the expectation is going to be lower. Some of those guys have, Joseph Evans. I mean, how much has he played before? How much has Justin Thomas played before? Yeah, I know they were in LSU uniforms, but the fact is, a lot of these guys have played almost zero time before, and now they're playing a bunch just because of injuries. So I think I would pump the brakes a little bit on what's Dave Aranda doing or not doing. Now, I don't think it was, a lot of people think that Grant Delpit is the best defensive player in the country. When when Florida comes in, when they go play Florida, when they go play Auburn, they need Grant Delpit to play like an All-American. They need Christian Fulton to play like an All-American. From all that I've seen, I did not see the Northwestern State game. I really thought that Stingley looks every bit as good as he was hyped to be. And
absolutely.
That's a plus. And but we need to see more from some of those guys who are established, who are still playing, to play like what we expect them to play.
Bruce Feldman from The Athletic and Fox Sports joined us. Bruce, has the Pac-12 already been eliminated from the college football playoff?
No, I can't say all the way. I mean, look, it looks a little grim. I mean, Cal's the only undefeated team, and I don't think they're going to make it all the way through there. I think you look at the rest of it, I mean, could there be a one-loss team? I don't think if you're Oregon, Washington, even USC, if it comes to it, I don't think you can afford to lose again. But it's too soon in the season, I think, for, that's why they're upsets. I mean, nobody saw Ohio State getting blown out at Purdue last year. I mean, these things can happen. But look, if LSU is a one-loss team and that one loss comes in Tuscaloosa and they go 11-1 with a good win at Texas, and let's play it out and say they were to beat Auburn as well and Florida, I think that would carry a lot more weight for them to be in than it might for a 12-1 Pac-12 champ. because they just wouldn't have those anything great at a non-conference win-wise. Even if USC's the 12-1 and they beat Notre Dame, I guess that's pretty good. But short of that, I mean, you're measuring up losing to BYU versus losing in Tuscaloosa. I mean, so in that regard, I feel like the SEC is in pretty good position, at least with the top of the food chain teams. The rest of the conferences, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of the game that always seems to be played. You look at the Big Ten, Bruce, and I keep harping. I hate to keep harping on why has Jim Harbaugh continued to get the long leash? Is this the year that finally everyone says, okay, maybe Harbaugh's not all that he was cracked up to be?
Well, I think there's definitely some questions as to did he lose the fastball somewhere along the way. I mean, you look what he did at Stanford. He took Stanford being the worst Power 5, or at the time Power 6 team, and turned it into one that won a BCS Bowl. You look what he did taking the 49ers, who had been spinning their wheels and awful, and he had 3 years in a row, one where he took them to the Super Bowl and the other 2 times the NFC title game. So, I mean, he's definitely an accomplished coach. I mean, he's better than what they've had there. It's just, I think the expectations are so high, and now it just seems like it's backsliding on him. And I think if I'm a Michigan fan, I'm like, if he's not the guy, who is? Because, they've had 3 10-win seasons in the last 4, and they'd only had 1 double-digit winning season the 8 years before he was there. So, I mean, he's better than what they had. It's just right now he hasn't been able to touch the arch rival, and that's what matters most. And it's just been pretty underwhelming since.
Bruce, last thing for me, and again, thank you so much for your time today. The 4-game red shirt. Are we seeing with this De'Aaron King situation and the other receiver from Houston, they're taking their 4 games. The season's not going the way they want it to. They're red shirting. Hey, we'll go get them next year. Is this the unintended consequence of that 4-game red shirt rule?
It seems like it's a new unintended consequence. I mean, I think there's some unique circumstances here. I mean, if you're De'Aaron King, this is the 4th offensive coordinator he's had in 4 years. I mean, he's shuffled positions. He's, everything I've heard from talking to folks down there is he's been pretty selfless. He played receiver. He moved to this. I think, does he want to see where this is going to go? I mean, are they mailing it in for the rest of 2019? If you're Dana Holgorsen, I will say this. You come into this situation, this is probably the one time it's manageable, because if this happens in year 3 of a coach's regime, it doesn't bode well. If it happens in year 1, I think there is some of the equity there to manage it. But who knows where he's going to end up? Is he going to go to Oklahoma and be the next transfer for Lincoln Riley? Is he going to try to reunite with Tom Herman if Sam Ehlinger leaves? I mean, who knows where he could end up? But I saw his press conference. He sounds like he's all in on staying there and wanting to be the quarterback next year.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation. Bruce, thank you so much for your time today, my friend. We look forward to catching up with you coming up down the stretch in college football.
My pleasure, Patrick. Thanks for having me.
All right, Bruce Feldman. He's a fantastic. Also, he's one of those guys that has a voice that doesn't really match what he looks like. He's got